Nobody expected Baltimore to suddenly look like the team we penciled in for January. And yet, on Saturday night at Lambeau, they did something that felt both overdue and terrifying for anyone who might meet them in the playoffs. This isn't just a box score recap. It's a story about timing, identity, and the ugly arithmetic of late season football. How one player's dominance can reset a franchise's heartbeat, how a backup's moment can expose a roster's limits, and how a single tweak to a shoulder can change a team's January roadmap. Start with the headline nobody could ignore. The Ravens beat the Packers 41-24. Derrick Henry ran for a season-high 216 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the performance stamped him into the history books, his 7th 200-yard game, an NFL record. That night didn't just keep Baltimore alive, it announced they can still be exceptionally dangerous. Reuters 9. But let's not rush to the obvious. What made this game more than a highlight clip was the way it unfolded, a chess match that tilted hard in favor of brute force. From kickoff, Baltimore imposed a mentality: feed Henry, win the line, control the clock. The Ravens didn't need a perfect quarterback night or a flashy passing clinic. They needed the one thing that changes the DNA of games: sustained running that forces opponents to play desperate football. Henry obliged in historic fashion. 36 carries, 216 yards, 4 touchdowns. Those aren't just numbers, they're leverage. When a back like that is consistently taking chunks, play callers stop thinking about style and start thinking about survival. CBS phones. CBS Sports. Across the field, Green Bay's narrative was twofold: desperation mixed with a weird, electrifying optimism. Jordan Love remained in concussion protocol after last week's hit, which thrust Malik Willis into the starter's role. Willis answered in a way that begged for a second look. 18 of 21 passing for 288 yards, a touchdown through the air, and 2 rushing TDs as he carried the team in chunks. He was a thrilling figure for Packers fans who wanted both an immediate rescue and a compelling off-season storyline, Packers.com. And then the fragile thing everyone fears happened. Willis, after driving the Packers and keeping them within striking distance, grabbed his throwing shoulder on a fourth-quarter play, cried out, and exited to the locker room. Clayton Tune came in. His first attempt was intercepted by Marlon Humphrey, and the momentum slipped away as Baltimore chewed clock and Henry finished the job. That tweak to Willis's shoulder, already a concern from previous weeks, was a brutal punctuation mark. He finished with impressive stat lines, but the injury's timing made the numbers feel like an afterthought. Well, we SM. So how did the game actually pivot? The first half told you everything. Baltimore struck early, then leaned into the run so decisively that Green Bay's defensive game plan became reactive rather than dictating. By halftime, Henry had already piled up yardage and touchdowns, and the Ravens led comfortably. When a defense is forced to chew clock against a back of Henry's caliber, it isn't just physical wear. It's mental attrition. Small mistakes compound into scoreboard swings. That's exactly what we saw. CBS Sports' Willis's performance complicates the narrative. On paper, he did everything you'd want from an emergency starter. He made big throws, he scrambled to flip field position, and he ran for scores. But football is a team sport of fine margins. The Packers' offensive line struggled to keep Justin Herbert-style pressure off. Wait, wrong game rewrite. The Packers' line struggled to keep a 3 technique from crashing gaps on rundowns and to give Willis breathing room on developing plays. When adversity arrives late, starters and backups alike need protection to convert moments into wins. That protection simply wasn't consistent enough. Packers.com. Let's pull apart the 2 big storylines this game created. First, the Ravens. They're not suddenly perfect. Injuries and inconsistencies have defined their season. But what this win did is remind the league that when Baltimore commits to a smash-mouth identity powered by Henry, they become a different kind of problem. Henry's workload and yardage forced Green Bay into a reactive stance, and when a team reacts to Henry, it rarely wins the chess match. Tyler Huntley, stepping in for Lamar Jackson, managed the game efficiently: 16 of 20, 107 yards passing, 1 TD, plus 61 rushing yards. He wasn't the story, Henry was, but Huntley's competence let the Ravens keep the engine running. If Cleveland cooperates with an upset over Pittsburgh, Baltimore's Week 18 showdown becomes a genuine winner-take-all for the AFC North. Reuters. Second, the Packers. They clinched a playoff spot earlier, but losing the NFC North to Chicago stung. That division crown officially went to the Bears after this loss. More urgently, the quarterback picture is cloudy. Jordan Love's concussion still looms. Malik Willis produced fireworks, but may have aggravated a shoulder that's been sore since the Bears game, and Clayton Tune's brief appearance ended with a turnover. Those variables matter in January. A healthy, consistent QB is the most valuable commodity in the playoffs. Without that, a roster can look formidable on paper and fragile under lights. Windy City Gridiron. There are micro moments that shaped the macro result too. Henry's 3 first-half touchdowns set a tone the Packers never shook. Willis' 39-yard dime to Christian Watson was a moment of pure electricity that kept Green Bay in the game early. But the interception after Willis's exit flipped the script from Packers fighting back to Ravens in control. Margins like missed tackles, a well-timed penalty, or a single busted protection become decisive when you're playing Baltimore with a back like Henry. That's the cruel arithmetic of late-season football. Packers.com. What does this mean going forward? For the Ravens, this is both a lifeline and a blueprint. They're alive at 8-8. They need an improbable Cleveland upset to set up a Week 18 showdown with the Steelers for the division. But the bigger narrative is this. Opponents will now have to plan for 2 paths. Stop the run hard, or give up the field and hope the Ravens' passing game is inconsistent. Either choice has consequences, and Henry's 216-yard night makes those choices painfully clear. For the Packers, the near-term task is medical and tactical. Get Love healthy if possible. Evaluate Willis's shoulder and decide whether his explosive playmaking is a short-term bandage or a strategic option in 2026. Fortify the offensive line so that quarterbacks have time to operate. And on defense, find answers to power runs between the tackles, because Henry will not be the only workhorse the Packers face in January. And for neutral viewers and the NFL itself, this game also serves as a reminder that late-season drama is fragile. One injury, one flag, one turnover can flip not only a game, but entire playoff pictures and TV schedules. The league lives off those marquee matchups, and the potential of an AFC North title game in Week 18 hangs on one Cleveland result. That's good TV if it happens. It's also brittle and subject to the tiniest of breaks on the field. Finally, the human element deserves attention. Willis's visible pain will be replayed, and for good reason. It puts a face to the risk backup quarterbacks take when thrust into high-stress environments. Derrick Henry's night will be remembered for its historic weight, but it also raises questions about how much wear you can put on an elite back late in the season while keeping him explosive come playoff week. Both are human stories wrapped in contracts, optics, and near-term stakes. So here's what to watch next. Malik Willis's medical updates and Jordan Love's concussion protocol status, the Browns versus Steelers result on Sunday, which will determine whether Baltimore lives or dies, and how both offenses, Baltimore's committed run-first plan and Green Bay's QB depth chart, are constructed for January. If Willis is ruled out or limited, the Packers' game plans will shift dramatically. If Henry comes out of this without wear, the Ravens suddenly become a match that can't be taken lightly by any opponent. In the end, Saturday night was a classic NFL lesson. Great players can tilt games, backups can light the scoreboard, and injuries can reshuffle destinies. Derrick Henry did his part to tilt a franchise back into contention. Malik Willis showed he can carry a team and also showed how fragile that carry can be. The playoff chessboard is rearranged. Now every team watching has to decide how to respond, which is the point that keeps you up as a fan. Would you rather face a Baltimore team that grinds you into submission with Derrick Henry, or a Green Bay team riding the roller coaster of backup heroics and uncertain health? The answer will shape January, and perhaps more than one franchise's future.